And so on just concerning the research you did, you mentioned a lot of reading. Could you just talk a little bit more about sort of where, how you got into the subject?
Yeah,
and which sort of authors you
totally.
read?
I started. I mean, it's such an odd thing that I started reading about it, but I started reading about it and became very compelled, and then kind of went, okay, I need to write a book about it, and then got very serious and was like, okay, I need to brush up on my chemistry and start figuring out nuclear equations and how that works on a on a scientific level, and like spent nearly a year doing that, and I have like these notebooks of like chemical equations and all of this happening, and then was like, actually this it was you have no idea how boring it was. And then after a while I was like, this is really boring, and this is not going to inform my work in any way. So then started going into interview testimony and witness testimony and people who were there at the time writing about the place, and also going just straight to photographs as well, because there's a lot of, so half of the book is set in Chernobyl and half of it is in Moscow in the 80s, and weirdly there's a lot more material about Chernobyl, obviously, just because it was a major world event, so that was quite easy to research. Moscow in the 80s is actually very hard to research because there's no kind of not unofficial photography or unofficial images from the year. I did go to Moscow late in the process. I went to like a gallery of photography and found a photographer's book, and he's written at the end of it that if you were a photographer in Moscow, if you were walking around with a camera and this guy was Russian, people immediately thought you were a spy. That was immediately the presumption. So people didn't take kind of every day. There was like birthday party photos, and then there was like photos of Gorbachev, but there was no like, this is what it looks like to walk you down the street. Yeah, it didn't happen. So weirdly, Moscow actually was much harder to research.